Welcome to my latest experiment. This is a big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley Podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. Long talks with the man in the mirror, but he don't move when I move, we used to be together. I see clouds when I close my eyes, but it ain't rained in years. It might rain tonight. I've been spending these days on my own, being thrown like a stone into the sea of the unknown, escaped the long line of clones in a queue for purpose. People that don't know themselves make me nervous. I'm Harley Neville. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley Podcast.
And what pretentious twattery was that?
That was Atto, his name is, featuring Eden, and the name of the song is Heaven. Atto feat Eden, Heaven. So go check those dudes out. I've been listening to them on the old Spotify for a little while.
Yeah, nice one.
Not enough gangsters and bitches in there for
not
Guy.
enough misogyny.
Not enough
for my taste.
Mindless misogyny.
Not enough bragging about how rich you are, and the items gained through your personal wealth. I'm also,
the consumerism.
Yeah, not enough consumerism for me, really.
Now this, dear listeners, is a special occasion. Guy and I have been prepping for weeks. This is episode 100 of the Guy and Harley Podcast.
Oh, good for you. And how was it? I hope it was fucking good because it's useless now, isn't it? Fuck's sake, man, you're amateur.
But there was some applause that Guy inserted, maybe. I don't know.
Wow, it's probably insert old Christian Bale.
Oh, good for you. Anyway, so we've done nothing.
We've done nothing. I was saying to Harley, I was like, look, we really shit the bed on this one. We really shit the bed on this one because we had all these grand ideas. We
do a party.
We've had 99 episodes to prepare this episode.
Personally, I blame the listeners for not giving us ideas and saying stuff that we should do.
I thought it was their insatiable demand for weekly podcasting. is the problem. But so we haven't done anything because, in fact, we didn't even really talk about it, did we? Yeah, in the last episode.
No, and here we are, just sort of crimping out an episode for you. It's 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday night, and just before we started recording, I said, "Oh, by the way, guys, it's the 100th episode," and he was like, "What?" So yeah.
So it is a 100 episode, lots to look back on and laugh and enjoy, and we thank you all for being here for 100 or 50 or 20 or 1 or however many you've been here for. Really appreciate it.
Well, it has been a lot of good fun. It's been quite a good journey as well. Like, it's 100 episodes, and we say it's weekly, right? But it's really slightly less than weekly. And so if it was 100 episodes and it was weekly, we'd be knocking on 2 years worth of podcasting now. But in reality, we must be over 2 years worth of podcasting now.
Yeah, probably like 2 years and 6 weeks, I reckon.
Who would have thought? Well, one day Guy decides that we should do a podcast. Podcast comes together. Here we are 2.5 years later.
Well, the spooky thing about this that I think about this is people, if the internet continues to exist and this podcast continues to exist in some form, in some capacity, either whether it is online or in someone's hard drive or whatever, it is entirely possible that people, whether it's simply, Harley's to-be son or Guy's to-be daughter or a loved one who's lost us when one of us died of a heart attack at age 35 from working too hard, or This could be at some point in the future. We don't know when. It could be us on our deathbed listening back to these episodes.
Our tales of valor from our youth.
Going, fuck, I remember doing that shit. But we're kind of creating this, this ongoing journal, this ongoing...
diary of our lives.
But
Diarrhea of our lives.
Diarrhea of our lives, all right. And...
the Diarrhea Diaries. That's what this should be. That's what this episode should be called.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So it's never, you never really know, like, who's listening to this right now. Obviously it's you and I right now. It's the podcast listeners currently.
The Filthy 50, the Hardy Hundy.
But who is listening to this in the future?
Well,
to my unborn son, I say, I'm sorry.
Sorry for all the stuff I've been saying about all these other women that I met before your mum.
It's a How I Met Your Mother situation, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, look,
ex-girlfriend 3 times removed.
I've pondered the same thing, and I've pondered the idea of internet archaeologists, which is a job position that will exist in the future.
Yeah,
those people that just go through and trawl through the countless gigabits of
terrible job for them
of information and finding little gems of like, oh, did you know there was this obscure filmmaking duo from Auckland, New Zealand 500 years ago, and this is how they documented their lives. I think that's pretty interesting.
It's interesting, but it's
internet archaeologists.
It's scary stuff because in a way, like when something is purely a memory, it's not recorded on a phone. So you might see a photo of it. Everything's so different now. It's like, I was just thinking about this too, is like, my kid, if I don't record heaps of shit with him and take a bunch of photos, he'll be like, Dad, why didn't you love me? Why didn't you love me enough to document my life like all the other kids? To document my life fucking daily. Well, and I'll be like, well, look, son, I mean, back in our day, we didn't do any of that shit. We just took a photo once every year for a family album at the school, and that was really it. And, we all just had to go rely on our memories.
Do you have videos of you as a kid?
I don't. And I did think that was interesting. I was like, there's going to be no time in the future from now until the Trumpocalypse, that people aren't going to see themselves digitally, visually, like when you have a kid, at some point, whether this kid cares or not, you go, hey, look, son, this is you when you're a baby.
Yeah.
Look at you, shitting your pants there.
Yeah. Well, I plan on using my child to get internet traffic through, viral meme videos and, all that type of thing.
But he'll go, well, he won't be impressed because...
Yeah, I'll half shave him or something.
It's like everyone will have this, but, no one had this back in our day. There was some people did. Some
I was too poor. There's no videos
some rich
of me.
People got videoed. Some people that had like a camera, but even that was kind of more rare than it was common because video cameras back then were expensive, and also these VCR tapes and stuff, they degrade. A lot of that stuff will be completely lost. So we're just living in this time where like your life doesn't start when you start doing something significant. It literally starts from the snap of your parents' iPhone, so people will they'll have a very effective ability to reflect on their lives, once they get to an age where they feel like they can't remember whatever it was. Which is quite interesting.
Would also be quite embarrassing and difficult as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
When we're 60, we're going to look back on this and go, shut up.
Can you imagine that hilarious story, that of like me not being able to get it up, and I walked in and they're like, hey, what's going on, Guy? And I was like, I couldn't handle the Jandal.
Are you referring to...
the story that we told on this podcast?
Where, Guy, you have to recap, though.
Well, the story I told on this podcast where, I was scheduled to perhaps lose my virginity.
Age 28.
Age 16. And so I was hooking up with this girl. I was on the trampoline. We're outside. It was getting cold. Things got too cold.
Keen for a bounce.
Tried to get the condom on. Condom was just
Just killing the boner.
It's just
strangulating it.
Yeah, erectile asphyxiation.
Erectile asphyxiation.
The condom was making me suffer from erectile asphyxiation. And so,
they should really teach you how to put those fucking things on, right?
Well, they do at school.
They sort of do.
They have to get way more hands-on.
They do.
They have to give you a hand job and wait till your penis is erect, and then they have to put it on your penis. They're your teachers we're talking about.
Yeah.
Have to slowly roll it onto your penis. Got to show you the right way to put it on. That's the only way. That's the only way for all of us.
Thank you, Mr. Randall.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mr. Smeaton. I appreciate that. And so that's what they have to do to ensure that we could all put on condoms, because this is something that has plagued our adult life forever. We never figured it out. But anyway, so I came back in and everyone was like, what's going on? And I was like, well, I couldn't handle the jandal. They're like, what?
You literally uttered that sentence. I couldn't handle the
jandal. I could not handle the jandal.
It's a Kiwiism for you.
And anyway, obviously everyone was kind of like, I don't know, shocked
that you would admit it.
Shocked silence. Well, it was like, that was the thing. I was like, look,
there's no hiding this.
Well, that's the thing. It was like,
best to come at it head on.
I could have bullshitted right then and there, and I'm sure the girl that I was with, lovely girl, Sophie, she probably would have even played it along out of sympathy for me. But at the end of the day, she would have told one of her mates the true story. And her mate would have told one of her other mates. And this would have gone round in this vicious game of Chinese whispers through the school, and it escalated until
he literally has no penis.
Until one day I'm bragging about how I had sex that thing, and then someone
you wouldn't be bragging though.
Well,
would you?
You'd
be keeping a low profile too.
You'd probably be keeping a low profile, but you're maintaining that you'd had sex, right?
Yeah.
And then someone goes, well, that's not what I heard. And then, of course, the blood drains from the face,
directly to the boner.
You get this, you get
a fear boner.
You get this sick feeling in the pit of your stomach, and you're like, oh, well, what did you hear? And it's like, well, I heard that you couldn't get it up. And anyway,
after this happened, by the way, dear listeners, it became a thing to when you see Guy to go, can't get it up, no.
Well, no, that's an exaggeration.
It's an exaggeration, Harley. It never happened.
What happened? Well, no, it didn't ever happen to my face. People would do that behind my back.
Yeah.
When I was...
Which is a reference to a New Zealand song as well, which goes, can't get enough.
Super Groove song,
Super Groove,
I believe.
That's it. Yeah. Can't get it up, no.
So anyway...
So anyway,
now that memory is now, obviously it's been documented on the podcast for my unborn son, so he'll appreciate that. Sorry about that. Charles. Call my son Charles? I don't know. I'm just guessing now. But basically, it was really lost to time until I chose to fucking dig it back up.
Yeah.
It was lost to time. Yes, some people may have remembered it back in high school, but even then, probably half of them forgot because they weren't like,
no,
this is a very important part of my life. That was like, I just heard some story about Guy. Well, I've forgotten everything in high school. Who gives a shit? So anyway, but had this been...
Besides, his penis works now.
Yeah, most of the time.
That's what's important.
It's completely functional 90% of the time. And that's pretty good odds. Guys, that's pretty good odds. No, guys, that's pretty good odds.
1 in 10 women that Guy sleep with are
very angry. And that's probably true. That's probably an approximate ratio there. That's correct. When things don't go right.
Yeah.
When things really don't go right. And so anyway, had we been living in this era and I was a kid in this era, I 100% guarantee that probably someone was recording us coming in on their phone for the reaction video. We know what you've been all doing out there.
Yeah.
Come back in for the reaction video. Here we go. Oh, I couldn't handle the jandal. Where does that video go? All over fucking Facebook.
Yeah.
Or just simply photos of like, look at his face, and like just people taking photos of like, and then memes of my face, and so it's a tough time for kids.
It is.
It's a tough time. It's a tough time for viral bullying. But we're just going to have to quickly pause because I'm going to put this bag of frozen peas that I have on my elbow away, I think.
Okay.
Because it's starting to leak.
All right. And then when you come back, you'll explain why you've got a bag of frozen peas on your elbow.
Okay. So we're back. The bag of frozen peas was for a bruise on my arm, which I got when I was pro wrestling training. And I was trying to come up with a new move, or not exactly a modification of a move to make it more grandiose. And I was trying to do what's known as the bionic elbow, which is basically when you hit someone in the head with an elbow. But I was kind of trying to make it like a leaping bionic elbow where you sort of sprung from across the ring to make it look bigger and more and sort of, harder hit, a bigger impact, So anyway, I was practicing and I did a bionic elbow right into this metal bit above the padding where I was aiming for, and got a big bruise there. But nothing broken, no harm done. But just to go back to our 100th podcast, maybe we should just state this now for all our listeners. If you have a favorite Guy and Harley podcast moment, a favorite conversation, a favorite episode, a favorite topic that we talked about, if you can list it for us, if you can list it in the comments, if you can tell us about it and break it down where it was, we may be able to take some of those highlights and put together at in a future podcast episode, which we will then dub the celebratory episode.
Yeah.
So if you've got some good ideas, because we would like to do that, we would like to do a bit of a recap. It has been 100 episodes. I'm sure some people have had their favorites and for whatever reason. So why did you like whatever this conversation was? Which episode was it? We'll talk about it on the podcast and play a little bit of it. Be a fun game.
And we just simply don't have time to trawl through 150 hours of us talking and finding highlights.
Just to find highlights. Jesus Christ.
So if you guys could let us know sort of any bits that really stand out to you, that does really help.
You. Yeah, absolutely. Anything that just really stood out to you, whether you just thought it was something funny, something compelling, something deep and insightful. Probably won't be many of those, but you never know. Just shout out, let us know, and then we'll go back, we'll listen to it, and then we'll talk about it, and maybe we'll put it on the podcast.
All right, so now look, down to business. I did some intel, right? As we mentioned last week, we got rejected for Emmy the Vegan funding. All right? Now, we worked our asses off alongside Emmy. Yes, Emmy. Yes, Emmy.
Yes, Emmy. You did a lot of work. Okay. You're instrumental in Emmy the Vegan.
You're an integral part of Emmy the Vegan.
You're the creator.
Yeah.
You are responsible for a large chunk of it. Thank you very much.
Get off her ass, Emmy. So, Emmy the Vegan. We spent a lot of time and effort on it, and it turned out great. It is very good. I'm really proud of it, and I did a bit of intel though. We found out recently that we did not make it through to the shortlist to get funding. So first round we got cut out, kind of thing.
We did not make. When they chop out all the shit stuff, fatty bullshit.
Yeah.
We were the fatty bullshit.
We were the fatty bullshit. Now, see, I was under the impression that it was like everybody submits and then they narrow it down to like 2 or 6 or something like that finalists, which then get voted on publicly. But I've done some intel. I can't reveal my sources, but I've done a bit of intel and found out that it's been reduced down to a top 30. From 160 to a top 30. Now, Emmy the Vegan evidently was not in the top 30.
30?
That's outrageous. I sincerely feel like that's just not quite right, because the production values alone, I feel, would qualify it for the top 30, because it's a very, very polished piece of work.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and it's quirky, it's interesting, it's unique, it's got a sort of I really feel like it's got its own flavor, and so just this idea that it wouldn't even make the top 30. I don't know, man.
Come on, man.
I don't know about that.
And
normally I accept these things pretty easily. Normally I'm like,
whereas I don't.
Guy doesn't at all.
So I hadn't accepted it when it was like there was
when he thought
6.
it was down to the top 2.
I was like,
from 160.
I was like, this is fucking
bullshit, man. This is fucking ridiculous. This fucking conspiracy theory, fucking ridiculous lies, fucking propagandas, fucking conspiracy to hold down Pigville in the industry, man.
That's Little Jimmy is the name of that character that guy just dropped into there. Little Jimmy, right?
I think it's either Little Jimmy or Little Johnny. One of the two.
That's an old character from our high school days. From
fucking Snickers bars and fucking peanuts in a fucking turd. Who shits in the sink?
Basically,
incredibly obscure reference to our
point.
Well,
also, what is this character? Is a guy with a high pitched voice, and he has a cap on upside down, and I stand on my knees to imply that I'm a little.
That was our series. We released a video on VHS, a literal video called "Chaos and Milk Boys Revenge," which was very popular amongst our friends, but there was only like one copy, or maybe two.
It was very popular amongst the friends that we forced to watch it.
No, they
loved stood over them,
and they quoted it.
So anyway,
always the pessimist.
Within that, there was a character called Little Johnny who was meant to be a student at Logan Park High School at the time, who had uncovered a giant human turd in the sink at the
in the men's
toilet. So he had just gone to wash his hands.
I'm trying to fucking wash my hands. There's a fucking turd in the sink. Well, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, and what we did, this became part of Logan Park lore and legend, apparently, after we left.
Also, oh man, this story is not good.
Well, okay, so
I'm not proud of this one.
I am.
I'm not proud of this. This is a classic.
Taking it too far?
Well, no, this is a classic. No, I don't think it's taking it too far. But I think it's just a classic case of a couple of young shitheads, arrogant little fuckheads with no understanding of the real world and consequences and like an appreciation or respect for other people, just going in and just being assholes without being aware that they're fucking assholes.
Well, let's tell them what we did.
Okay, yeah.
So what we were filming Chaos and Milk Boys Revenge, and we were really inspired by our hate for our home city of Dunedin at the time, and it was it was just that obnoxious little. Dunedin's great,
and for our high school, and maybe more specifically.
Well, no, because the way it came about was there was a show called Chaos and Milk Boys Sellout Tour of Dunedin, which we made, and we didn't make it through to this competition. So we made and we were cheated out of it. So we made it a petty revenge video called Chaos and Milk Boys Revenge, and the idea behind Chaos and Milk Boys Sellout Tour of Dunedin was that it showed Dunedin in a positive light and could be used as sort of a tourism thing. And we made it, and it didn't. We felt like we had been cheated out of the prize because the other people that won were crap.
But also, did we actually? Because I've actually forgot.
You forgot about Chaos and Milk Boys Sellouts Tour.
Yeah, kind of. I don't really remember that. But didn't we actually just take? In my recollection, weren't we just taking the piss out of Dunedin in that one?
No. In our real one, we did it reasonably.
We did it truly.
Properly. Yeah, we went to Baldwin Street. We still had our jokes and stuff, but it was like not deliberately trying to take the piss out. So anyway, that didn't work. We felt like we'd been cheated on local television, and so we decided to make our own new one called Chaos and Milk Boys Revenge, and part of it was just taking the piss out of our school constantly, which we had actually just finished. And so anyway, we part of it was this Little Johnny skit where he finds a shit in the sink. And so what we did was at my house, as an 18-year-old who doesn't even go to the school anymore, I took a shit into an ice cream container.
Yep.
And I didn't have a lid for it, so I had to just Glad wrap the top of it.
Imagine that.
And I did it at home. That's the thing. So I did it at home, and then we got into Guy's car with a fucking steaming turd in an ice cream container with Glad wrap over the top. And all this condensation.
What the hell is all this Glad wrap going to do?
Well, it's better than nothing, mate.
Oh, yeah, better than nothing, but fucking hell.
And so all this condensation started building up on the underside of the Glad wrap.
Condensation.
Yeah, poo condensation from that steaming hot turd as you and I drove in your car back to our old school, and then we snuck in and went into the toilet, put it in the sink, and quickly filmed the sketch of
little Johnny uncovering.
Of you and me investigating little Johnny's claim.
Oh, right.
And going in and finding it, and we were like, "Yep, there it is. There's a turd." And then we were like, "Fuck, we better get the fuck out of here before we get caught." And so we left, and we just left this shit in the sink at our old school.
Could have easily just picked
Got rid
it up,
of it. Yeah.
and put it in the toilet, which is right there.
No, but we thought it'd be funny. But apparently, people found it. And it became a bit of a thing at Logan Park.
So someone found it.
And they found this thing of like, who's the sink shitter? Who's the sink shitter?
Who shit in the sink?
We probably ruined somebody's life because some kid would have got assigned the sink shitter. And then for the rest of his high school career, he was the sink shitter. Sorry about that, mate.
And people also may accuse other people just in passing, it's the shit, it's the
sink shitter.
It's the shit.
You can't say it.
Sink shitter. It's the sink shitter. Ooh, what are you gonna do, mate? You're gonna go? You're so gross. Why don't you go shit in another sink?
Yep.
You fucking filthy cunt. And of course, that poor guy was just like, look, I have bad hygiene, and now this has been associated with me, but I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I just can't afford deodorant, and I'm a growing boy, and I didn't really understand what BO means. I didn't do this.
13 Reasons Why. We are the initiators of 13 Reasons Why, the Logan Park High School version.
So anyway, but I always just now look back on it as like, who had to clean up that shit?
Yeah, the
fucking janitor.
Yeah, poor old janitor.
Poor fucking son of a bitch comes in and has to clean a human shit out of the sink because a couple of kids
we weren't kids. We were legally adults and we didn't even go to school anymore.
Who thought it would be funny to fucking drop a fucking turd in there and then just leave it for someone.
Now, to be fair, we were mere months out of finishing school. By the way. Mere months. Mere months from out of finishing school.
But we did do that, and I feel bad for that janitor. And if he hasn't died of cancer from the
poo,
from the cigarettes, he used to smoke a lot of cigarettes.
I don't remember. So anyway, Little Johnny. The reason why you were in Little Johnny mode was because you were complaining about him, the vegan.
Yeah.
To get back on track.
So, good recap. So now we're all up to date. Now we understand the Little Johnny. Maybe I could do Little Johnny from time to time now.
Yeah.
It's all good stuff. All right. What else we got?
Well, so I acted, big opportunity for me. I mentioned that I acted in a zombie short film, and that was really cool. But one thing I didn't get to last week was I also acted 2 days for the guys from Viva La Dirt League who are doing Epic NPC Man, which is my personal favourite of their series. But they've got another one called Bored,
which is my one,
which is Guy's favourite. And they've got a few different ones.
Having suffered in the retail trade before, I sympathise.
So Bored is about working in a
electronics store.
Yeah, electronics store, and the jokes and stuff that come with that. And Epic NPC Man is about a non-playable character in a RPG or a massive multiplayer online RPG.
MMO RPG.
Who has become self-aware and is aware of the madness that's happening around him, and it's just lots of sort of gaming jokes, and I think I really love it. But they're doing a new series called Richt, and it's they're filming presently, and I was lucky enough to get 2 days. And the funny thing about it is that they actually beat us out about a year ago for funding.
So Richt is being made in place of the Guy and Harley show.
No, it was actually in place of Happy-ish.
Was it though?
I think so.
I don't think so. I think they got it before that for when we submitted the Guy and Harley show.
No, I'm pretty sure you're wrong. This was around the same time as the 48-hour film festival last year, and that's about when we did the Happy-ish one. And so they beat us out. So we put in a lot of work on this massive application for Happy-ish, and along come the Viva La Dirt League dudes and beat us out for that one.
And put us in the fucking dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Put us right in the fucking dirt.
Buried us. And so, but, on the upside, I did eventually get a roll out of it.
Well, if you can't beat them, join them.
Exactly.
And do 2 days on their show.
Exactly. And so I've done 2 days, which was cool, two night shoots. And it went well. It seemed pretty funny. And so the great thing about it is that, assuming I don't get cut, I am in the opening scene of the opening episode of season 1 of Richt, their brand new series.
Well, see, if I were you, wouldn't really be announcing that.
Why?
Because this is the classic actor thing, and
that it gets cut.
Announce a whole thing that you're going to be there.
Well, yeah, but it's just for the filthy 50 and the hardy hundy. Like, these guys are on board. They get it.
And
otherwise, we've got nothing to fucking talk about.
Well, we've got heaps to talk about. Heaps.
You have literally no topics today, Guy.
Well, I've remembered a couple of topics.
But yeah, so I acted in that, which was great for me because I've been jonesing for a while to act in some of their stuff, and so it's great that I finally got that opportunity. And there may or may not be another day coming up as well. I was actually meant to film for them today, and then I kind of didn't hear anything, so maybe I'm fired. I don't know.
Cool. Well, I should actually just briefly mention something quite serious. My sister has had a baby.
My bad.
Just gonna let that one sit for a second. It's not to Harley. She would be greatly offended at that suggestion. She is married and has been in a happy relationship for, I'm pretty sure, 8 years.
Oh, he's a little sensitive about this one. A little sensitive when it comes to the family jokes.
But anyway, well, she's probably going to listen to this at some point and be like, oh, fuck's sake. Fucking Harley. For fuck's sake. Can't even hear a nice thing from a brother without Harley just shitting all over it.
Okay, so go
like
ahead.
A dumb joke.
Go ahead and tell the hardy hundy.
So anyway, my sister
about your sister's baby
has had a baby. Jack Charles Denison is his name. And there were actually some complications. Was a pretty tricky labour and all that sort of thing. But he's happy. He's healthy. And apparently is a pretty good baby so far in terms of not crying.
Does his chores.
And yeah, exactly. Does his chores when he's told. But so I just want to shout out to my sister and say, Abby, I love you. I'm an uncle now. I'm not ready. I'm afraid. And life's happening too fast, but I'm very happy for you. I think you'll be a great mum, and I guess I'm gonna have to occasionally buy presents for the little shithead. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that. Now you're an uncle.
Yeah, I'm an uncle.
You're a role model now for a younger family member.
I was just saying, like, let that sink in. I am an uncle.
Yeah, and it's your youngest sister that had a baby.
Yeah, who is not like she's. She's 6 years younger than me, so she's 27 going on 28. I think she turns 28 in December. So she's not even she's not a young 20-year-old having a kid, and it's like, oh, out of the blue, got pregnant, had a baby. It's like, no, planned this, thought about this, studied for a long time before doing this, and you are 6 years older than that, and nowhere near that stage.
Well, that's good. Keep it that way, mate, because baby's the dream killer. So if you want to become a successful filmmaker, babies is not the way. Eminem managed to pull it off, having a baby before being successful, but it's a tough gig.
It's pretty tricky. I wouldn't recommend it.
The epilogue for Older, that's the new scene that we shot recently. Yep. We shot a scene a little while ago for Older as part of the pickups that we did at around the time of the funeral scene-ish, around the Emmy the Vegan time. And went smooth shoot. We talked about it on the podcast.
Shooting with a baby?
Yeah, shooting with a baby. That was the one we were shooting with a little kid, and he wasn't really playing ball.
But thanks to brilliant trickery, bribery with marshmallows, and stupid YouTube clips, plus combined with my masterful editing,
it's turned out great.
It's cut in such a way that you're like, fuck, that little kid. He's great.
Actor. Yeah.
Bloody great.
And it's turned out great, and it's sincerely some of my best acting ever.
Some of your best work.
It's some of my best work. It's a great scene. I'm very excited about it.
And what you said to me is this scene makes up for
I said this scene redeems
all the shit acting you done in the rest of the film.
Yeah.
Which was all of the rest of your scenes.
Yeah.
Which was all your scenes, because this wasn't even a scene. This
Yeah.
was an extra thing that had been added.
Yeah.
Basically, the implication is that you'd done a shitty job
For the rest of the film.
For the rest of the film.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll tell you about that. I'll tell you about that.
Please do.
Okay, so here's the thing. When we shot Older, I was in a performing slump. This was before I started poetry, and so I was like really just relying on getting roles every now and then through either my agent or through Pigville stuff, and we weren't shooting enough, and so before Older, we hadn't shot anything for quite a while. It's certainly nothing major, and so I hadn't really done any decent acting for a long time. And then on top of that, I was super busy with the producing side of things. So it wasn't like, oh, I've got a role coming up in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to spend all my time, concentrating on and getting it right. It was more like, fuck, we're filming all this shit, and I've got to organize this thing and that thing and the blah blah blah. And so I didn't really spend enough time at all getting my performances right. And so that was part of the problem. And then, but I still think it was passable. I mean, one of the scenes is in my show reel, but then passable as in you should pass on hiring me.
Well, the funny thing is when you rewatch that scene, one of your notes for the latest edit, where you're like, can we, you're like, this is the note, it was kind of a weird, funny note, but you're like, can we like shorten all my bits to like make them seem like more powerful? Like, can we kind of cut these things?
I did suggest a bunch of cuts, and no, but the bit that I said about being more powerful was I was like, is there any way we can digitally crop this, zoom in order to make it a closer shot in order to create more power in my performance? Can we do that? But yeah, so anyway, that was part of the problem. Was I was busy with the producing and I hadn't acted in much stuff. And then the other thing was I hadn't done any acting training courses. I've done a couple since that performance as well, which were helpful. And I've also just acted in a lot more stuff. And so this is the constant bane of the low budget actor, is that you shoot something and then 3 to 4 years later when it comes out, you're like, that acting no longer represents me. I'm a way better actor now. I've done way more stuff. I've got much more experience, and I can see all the things I'm doing wrong in that earlier stuff. However, now the film is out, or now the film's coming out, and I've got to put my full weight behind it and support it. The same thing happened with Zombie Holocaust. I really liked my performance in Zombie Holocaust, but 5 years after shooting it, when it finally came out, I was like, well, would I still do it that way now? And I was like, not necessarily. Things will probably actually be a little bit different if I were to reshoot it now, and arguably better, or probably better. And so yeah, that's all I really meant by that. And so now this epilogue scene, though, is me at full power. It's me at my, it's current. It's like a couple of months old, Yeah. It's current. I've implemented all those lessons I've learned.
After you've been in the acting hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah, you got it.
As per Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Training you've reached a new power level.
I have.
And so that's what we're currently seeing. Me, I can't really notice the difference. Personally, I don't really see a big difference.
Well, the other thing, of course, is that everybody, but I guess in particular actors, you're always more critical of yourself.
You're going to analyze your stuff and be like, oh, that seemed a bit weak.
Yeah.
And I mean, the feedback that I've gotten on your stuff is not like, oh, fuck, what the fuck is Harley doing? It's all been pretty positive.
Well, that's good. That's what you want.
So don't think there's too much to worry about there, but we'll let the listeners judge
when they see Older
in about a year,
hopefully.
But yeah, well, acting is a tough gig. It's tough to stay in practice. I felt out of practice when we were doing the latest round of acting, because I'd really prepared for the last, for the actual film. I'd really prepared. I'd rehearsed. I'd done, read-throughs. I'd, acted opposite people. Would done all the complicated, like, how are we going to do these sex scenes? Where am I going to put my hand?
Where am I going to put my penis?
Yeah, where is that going to be? And how am I going to maneuver you? And all that stuff, which was great, which was really important and really helpful. And
really impotent.
See what you did there. Harley's dad joke number one for the podcast, in case you are keeping score. That's probably the first one.
There was a couple of jokes earlier that were borderline dad jokes.
Borderline, but I feel like that is full-on classic vintage Harley Devil right there. So anyway, so for me, I was like, fuck, I have to throw... And also, like, you know, it's like, I'm in the mindset of this character at this time, you know. Now, you know, it's 3 years later. I'm not in that mindset anymore. My mindset's fucking a way different place, you know. You know, in the same way that you talk about, like, you know, your acting, well, my whole perspective is different. So I'm sort of not... It's harder to fit yourself back into that shoe that was very comfortable at the time, but maybe not so much anymore. But I think it's all good stuff. I mean, I also think that despite what it seemed like at the time, you know, a baby is a great prop. A baby is a baby. And when you got a baby, you're going to react to the baby. Yeah. Baby's going to do things. You're going to talk to the baby. The baby's going to be doing stuff, and that's going to help you because you're acting a guy with a baby, and you got one. Yeah. So that's pretty handy.
It's a crutch.
It's a prop. It's an acting prop. Like some people have a pipe or a cane, or they walk in with a book to a scene, or they pick up an apple and take a bite out of it. Yours was a cute little baby who looks like Jareth. I think his name is, or is it Ben? But the little kid from
Labyrinth.
The Labyrinth. Also, Jeremy Housen did correct us of the other day about Taxi Driver. We didn't actually mention that, but I think it's probably worth mentioning that I joked about taking an underage prostitute to watch porn with me, like in Taxi Driver. Yeah. Now, Robert De Niro did not do that in Taxi Driver. He took his potential girlfriend to watch porn. The underage prostitute he met up with later and never took her to watch porn. Right. He just went and shot up her pimp. You know, that was really, you know, and did maybe have a weird attraction to her, or at least there was something going on there where he felt he needed to help her. And I don't know that the reasons that he felt that were entirely non-sexual.
Platonic.
Exactly. So thank you, Jeremy, for that correction. That's about the third thing I've fucked up recently movie-wise. The movie guru's getting called out every fucking day.
Moody's getting rusty.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. But it's probably because I fucking watch way fucking less movies and do way less of that because I'm so fucking busy. But anyway, moving on.
Moving on, not upset. So we had a rap party for the zombie film that I was in recently, which... It doesn't really have a title at the moment. It's got a working title, so it doesn't really have a title. But let's just call it the zombie movie. That's not our zombie movie.
Bad Day at Black Rock.
Yeah, all right, that works. And so we had a rap party for it, which was cool. And I saw some of the footage from the shoot. It just rough, no grade, no nothing, just shots, just kind of cut together, and a few bloopers and little outtakes and bits and pieces. And it looked exceptional. It looked really good. It really gave me very high hopes for the film. I know I had high hopes and high expectations anyway, but
it gave you a little zombie chubby.
It did. When I saw that, I was like, wow, this is gonna be cool. You know, this is gonna look great. They have some great, great, beautiful location. We were filming out in this farm out in the Waitakere? Waitakeries. Yeah, Waitakeries. Yeah, some other mountain range, you know, some mountain range in New Zealand, some beautiful mountain range in New Zealand, the Waitakeries. And we were out filming this farm out in the middle of nowhere, big crew, all these people, their drones, getting cool, beautiful drone shots of this sort of scenery with us, you know, down there running around and stuff. And yeah, it looked really, really good. And the funny thing was that while I was there, another film crew showed up to shoot something else, and it was a Chinese television show, and they were filming at the exact same farm out in the middle of nowhere. And so I schmoozed some guy that I met in the toilet, who I still don't know actually what he literally might have been the bus driver. And I gave him my card, and I was like, well, look, if you need any local actors, I'm your guy. Hey, has the nibs. That's me. That's me. It's Pally. And so I gave him my card. Haven't heard anything yet, but you know, you never know. And that, by the way, guys, is my new card, the one of Guy and I naked. I've been handing that out to quite a lot of people. I've handed that card out a lot.
How much response have you got on that?
It's great. People love it because when I first started handing it out, I was a bit like, oh no, like I was like, because we're going to paint the picture for the people if they haven't seen the images yet. It's Guy and I absolutely naked, just using an I Survived a Zombie Holocaust DVD.
Here's two ugly nude men.
Hairy as
Hairy,
fuck.
ugly nude men. Please accept this card with two hairy, ugly nude men on it.
And we're actually completely naked, and we're just using a DVD of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust to cover our genitals. And that's it. And then on the back, it's got my contact information. And so I got them printed kind of on a whim. I was like, well, that's a funny idea for a card, and why not? And I was like, sure, I'll have to hand it to people.
Apart from the millions of reasons, why not?
But then, and then so I got them printed, and I was like, fuck, I've got 250 of these now. That's 250 people I need to look in the eye and hand this to. Yeah. And I was like, well, was this a good idea or not, Harley? And so I started taking them with me to film sets and to other bits and pieces that I've been attending lately. And at first I was a bit awkward, a little bit unsure, but I've had a really positive response from like everybody. And in fact, I gave the card to a wardrobe lady on the zombie film, and she was like, oh, haha, laughing, and she put it in her pocket. And then later on, I was actually acting. I was in a take, and I saw her. She just assumed I didn't notice her, but I saw her, she pulled it out and had like a big, long, like close look at it while she thought I wasn't looking at her. So yeah, it got her attention at least. Overall though, it's been very positive. People laugh and they go, fuck, well, I'm always going to remember you. And that's kind of the point, right?
She was really studying your hair.
Yeah,
your hairy body.
Maybe she was studying you.
I don't think so.
And so I think I mentioned it last week. I was quite drunk last week, but I have come up with an idea for my next merchandising thing. Is we're going to sell these, $10 each, cheap postage. Sign them, send them out as a little thing, just a little bonus thing. And I reckon some people out there will actually buy them. And the thing is, it's $65 for 200 or 250 cards. And so I only need to sell 6.5 cards, and I got the money back.
Yeah, I think you said that last time.
Well, I did. I remember now. And I said I'll spray every fifth one with perfume, and you suggested I rub it on my balls. And so, yeah, but anyway, that is going to be happening soon. So that one's for the beer lovers. The beer lovers out there will probably be the ones buying that.
Cool.
I got hit on again by a beer lover online the other day, and now I'm starting to understand how women feel when, like, these idiots, these, like, just dumb guys, like, send them messages, like, first they pop up with, hey.
Don't you get sick of the hey and the hi from the stranger on Facebook?
And it's like, for fuck's sake.
Unless they're hot.
Well, yeah, but even then, if they're hot, you just like, if they're hot and they pop up saying hey and nothing else, well, for a start, that's practically never happened to me. But if it did, I'd assume they were spam.
Starters, that's never happened. That's a fictional scenario that would never happen in real life.
But if it did happen, I would assume they were spam of some description, because they normally are.
Yeah.
No, but like...
Wait, sorry, I just have to go and cut up my credit card.
And so these, they show up like, hey, and it's like, okay, firstly, that's already a peeve, right? It's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, why are you just saying, hey, what? Now I've got to take the effort to go, hey, how are you? You know, like, no, I'm not going to reply with how are you? Like, you know, if you want to contact and have a chat, that's fine, but open with something like, hi, I saw your movie and I just wanted to say it was great and blah, blah, blah. Or, hi, this, that, the other thing.
Here's a photo of my penis.
And here's an unsolicited
what do you think?
Penis picture.
What do you think about it?
But no, they don't do that. They just say, hey. And, I've heard like women complaining about this type of thing before, and now I'm starting to experience it. And so this guy the other day was like, oh, you're such a beautiful man kind of thing. But it was like, oh, well, I can't really like, I'm not going to say, what do you say? I just say like, thank you, right? You go, cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, because I do want to encourage, the beer lovers to continue following me. And I absolutely adore having a beer following. I think it's hilarious and awesome and great. And they're very supportive and been on my Facebook for like years and years and years. So this guy added me and sent me a message. I wasn't going to be like rude to him or anything. But then he's like, hey, and something, you're a beautiful man, haha, hope that's okay. And I was like, yeah, it's totally fine, man. I love having my beer following, although I myself am not gay. And he was like, haha, that's cool, no worries. And then he was like, so you're really hairy, eh? And I was like, no response. And and then he was like, is it like annoying or anything like that? Like, did you like shoulder hair like annoying in any way? And again, no response, because I was like, well, for fuck's sake, I'm not here to have a chat about my fucking shoulder hair.
We're clearly getting into some fetish territory as he's whacking at the computer and he wants you to say, oh yeah, so coarse, and rubbing up against a t-shirt. And he's like, yeah, how coarse is it? Is it what against the cotton? Does it make a noise?
Well, that is, I think, what he was gunning for.
Yeah.
And then so I didn't reply, and then he got back to me again, like, well, he's like, hey, did you see my questions? And
you go, did you see my questions? Because I literally had to stop masturbating because you didn't respond, and I'd really like to continue masturbating right now. So could you please answer them so I can keep masturbating?
And then he sort of tried to change the topic. Well, not change the topic, but say something else, and then come back again to the hairy thing. And I just left him on scene, obviously, at that point.
Left that mother trucker on scene.
Exactly. But
speaking of hair and stuff, you should have played him this clip.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Not like here. Here everything is soft and smooth.
What was that?
That was Star Wars Episode 2, super cheesy Anakin complaining about sand.
Oh, okay.
I hate the sand. Anyway.
Yeah, well, so anyway, basically, I've realized now that this guy was... I don't understand what he thought was going to happen. Why did he think that I'd want to talk to him about my hairy body? And it occurred to me that this is effectively the equivalent of walking up to a woman or messaging a woman and saying, hey, so you've got like really big tits. Are those tits annoying? Do those tits annoy you sometimes?
Do they rub up against anything?
Do they like chafe around? Are your tits like jubbly? Are your jubbly tits chafing you? And it's like, what are you fucking up to, mate? Like, how fucking stupid are you that you think that might actually work?
Well, look, it's the subtle wanker, the subtle beta. It's the subtle masturbation. You want to get a few details for your imagination. You can't outright come out and go, talk dirty about your hairy body. But you can ask these kind of leading questions, which could be construed as completely innocuous and harmless, but they're not. They are designed to get you off. But you Harley Neville can't turn around and accuse me and go, hey buddy, stop masturbating, all right? And look, I don't appreciate this sexual harassment. He goes, oh, what? I was just asking I just wanted to know whether I was curious.
I just wanted to know if your back hair made a sound when it rubbed up against your cotton t-shirt.
I was just fucking curious. Well, fuck, I'm just a scientific explanation here. Don't accuse me of being predatory. It's that, the subtle wanker.
So last night, I performed stand-up comedy in the Raw Comedy Quest 2017.
Followed by a subtle wank. You also performed a subtle wank.
I segued
toward the end of the night.
Here's what I've been doing, people. I had / potentially have, I'm not really sure, this plan to move to LA in 2018, right? And
how's that going?
Well, the thing is that there's too many variables at the moment. There's some things that are currently unresolved that I don't know, but very important things that we may or may not be able to discuss in later episodes of the podcast, but we can't really delve into it at the moment.
Okay.
But, my plan was to move to LA at the end of this year, beginning of next year, and I made moves towards making that happen. And I was very motivated, and I started doing things like building up my online income, trying to sort out, I'm getting a website made by Tyler, the website creator, and I'm in order to get a merch store set up, and I'm also doing other things like really concentrating on my performance career in order to have some experience behind me when I go into when I arrive in LA, and also as a big part of it as well is getting this experience so that I can tick all the right boxes for my visa application to even get to LA, because I'm applying for this visa called the O1 Alien of Extraordinary Talent visa or extraordinary ability visa, and you've got to tick all these boxes and show that you're this alien of extraordinary talent from outside of America that should be allowed to work there. And that's how a lot of foreign actors work in America, and it's expensive and it's time consuming and all that, but I was working very hard towards it with the intention of being there at the end of the year. And so when I first really kicked this plan full into sort of what am I trying to say? Full into gear, that'll do. So when I really kicked it off, it was like at the end of 2016. And so I realized that I need more credits. I need more accolades to put on my application. So I said, all right, what I'm going to do is I've got the Raw Comedy Quest coming up next year, 2017 Raw Comedy Quest. So I need to qualify for that by performing once in 2016. So I did that. Then when the Comedy Quest started, I performed in my in the opening heat, and I did really well. That was the one that was the best performance of my life. And then that got me into the semi-finals, and the semi-final was last night. And the idea was just to get to the semi-final so that I've got this thing to put on my visa application. So I'm happy because I achieved that. But the performance was last night. It went really well. I was the opening act, which is really tough. It's not the slot you want at all. But I went out and I feel like I set the bar pretty high, and it went really well. And so I found out today, though, sadly, that I did not make the finals.
What's fucking new? What's fucking new around here?
What's new?
What's fucking new around here?
So
you found out that you didn't get it.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
And it was 27. So there was 27 semi-finalists, and the word I heard was they were knocking it down to 7 finalists. But no, it was 11. So they knocked it from 27 to 11, and that's where I got cut. Between that 27 to 11.
You were the blubbery fat.
I was.
That got cut again.
The blubbery fat that got cut. So look.
Pigville is the blubbery fat that gets cut from everything.
First thing we'll do, though, is we're going to play you my comedy right now so you can check it out.
Raw Comedy Quest semi-finalist, Mr. Hardy Never!
Okay, I know I'm first up, but I'm going to dive right in, talk about my sex life, if you don't mind. Because I haven't been doing very well with the ladies lately, and I don't know why.
Same.
Well, I don't know about you, but for me, I'm pretty sure it's not a physical thing. You know? Because physically, when women describe me, they normally sound like a cross between Tom Cruise and Vin Diesel. Because I'm short and bald. Every now and then I have sex. Although me having sex is a lot like me throwing a party. The girls don't come. I'll tell you about the last time I had sex, though, right? I actually met this girl here at the Classic, and we really hit it off, and so I got her back to Mum's place, and I knew things were getting serious because my Star Wars duvet got flung right across the room. So at that point, I reached for the condom. Because they're STIs, guys. Not Pokemon, we're not trying to catch them all. Besides, I've pretty much already got all the good ones, so it's all downhill from here for me. So anyway, I'm reaching for the condom, and she stops me and she says, Harry, before we get straight into the sex, do you think we could have a little bit of foreplay? The greedy bitch. I don't have enough to worry about here. I'm trying to maintain an erection. She's talking about foreplay. Do you have any idea how much pornography I've seen? I'm 34 years old. If I'm not asked to mouthing twins on a pirate ship, I pretty much can't get it up. She's talking about foreplay. We have a very limited window of opportunity here. I suggest you make hay while the sun is shining. You know what she said to me next? She said, could I please rub her clitoris? Do I look like a gynecologist? Fuck's a clitoris. So anyway, we finally got into the sex, and she was bent over in front of me like this. And I was standing behind her holding her ass like this. And she started talking dirty to me. And I liked that. She was using her sex voice. Everyone's got a sex voice, right? It's kind of like your normal voice, except for lower and slower. Well, she was using her sex voice. She goes, "You like that pussy?" And I'm all, "Yeah." "You like that dirty pussy?" "Well, I'd prefer it if you'd cleaned it, actually." And then, this is where it gets weird. She looks over her shoulder, she looks me right in the eyes, and she says, "You like that forbidden pussy?" Forbidden pussy? Well, why is it forbidden? Is it like the Forbidden City in China? Thousands of men have entered, only eunuchs come out? The forbidden pussy? Is this Indiana Jones and the Temple of Poo'd? You know, the more I thought about it, the more I started noticing some similarities. I mean, there I was, a brave adventurer, pushing my way through the deep undergrowth. There was bugs everywhere. And at least one snake. I looked over my shoulder. I half expected to see a little Asian kid watching us. "I touch what you touch, indeed." But no, she was the only short round in the room. So the next day, I woke up and I realised that one-night stands are a lot like eating KFC. You want it so bad beforehand, but then afterwards you're just sitting there, staring at this greasy box that you've eaten. There's potato and gravy everywhere. And now you're starting to think about your health. I'm Harley Neville, thank you very much.
So that's how that went down. Pretty good, I thought.
Let's apologise in retrospect for anyone that's already heard that.
Now, Guy is upset because we, many moons ago on some prior episode, we played a previous performance of my comedy, which was different to that one. It was the same story, but refined less, and a worse performance. And for some reason, Guy thinks the Hardy Hundy and the Filthy 50 would be upset about that. But I know that you guys...
got long memories.
I know that you guys don't mind hearing that performance twice.
I don't want this shit on repeat.
That's not on repeat. Fuck, I tell you what's on repeat. Us talking about being old. Shit like that. That's on repeat.
Well, it's because we are old.
Right. So that went down. Now, look, I don't actually contest the decision, and in fact, I completely understand it. One of the judges has seen me perform that same set a number of times in the same bar over the last 4 years or so. Because I've only
and by this stage, they were giving you a sarcastic click of the fingers.
No, that's poetry. And so the thing is that I actually got into the 2014 Raw Comedy Quest semi-finals with the exact, well, not the exact same, but with the same routine.
Shtick.
With the same routine. I've only got one routine, guys, and I wrote it 10 years ago. And so
you want to talk about like a non-evolution and you know, being different to... You wrote this fucking 10 years ago.
I wrote it 10 years ago, and I've just refined it and tweaked it and stuff, but essentially, you know, the story outline is much the same. And, you know, Temple of Poo'd, that's That's some gold shit.
Temple of Poon.
You can't lose Temple of Poon.
Short round. Never gets old.
Short round. People never get that short round.
Never
joke.
gets old though.
That's my favorite. One of my favorite jokes in the whole thing, the short round joke. But most people don't get it. They don't know that the little Asian kid from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, his name is Short Round.
And also, I mean, at this point, barely remember Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Well, yeah, it's definitely for
old
purists.
motherfuckers. Speaking of getting old,
yeah. So anyway, look, the point is anyway that the same judge that got me into the 2014 semifinals is the same guy in charge this year. And so of course he's seen it before, and I've brought very little new to it. I completely understand where he's coming from, so it's like I'm not surprised. I can't get into the finals with the same old shit. So next year, I'll probably enter again, and I better write a new one. And I'm thinking I'll write a new one based around being very, very hairy, and living with that, and growing up with that, and going into the future with that. Yeah.
Something about singeing your nipple hairs.
Yeah,
with,
that's in there
with the lighter.
Yeah, how I used this one. If that pervy beer lover from the other day is listening, he'll be jacking it right now because I used to burn off the chest hair with a lighter in order to because I was so ashamed that women would think it was so disgusting and they wouldn't hang out with me at the beach. So before I went to the beach, I used to burn it off with a lighter because I didn't have wax or anything like that. I was a poor kid, and so I just had a lighter and mum's lighter, and and I used to burn the chest hair off. But the girls still didn't hang out with me because I smelt like burnt hair.
Yeah, right. Also, you could kind of incorporate a joke about singeing your balls because you're also doing that to prune the old testicular.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, look, better get into some movie reviews, eh?
Oh, okay.
Just quickly. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yes.
Not great.
Well, what a shock. Whoa.
Not great. Enjoyable, but suffering from sequelitis, suffering from getting overcomplicated, suffering from some...
from being a big CGI blockbuster.
From some giant leaps in logic that just don't quite add up. And also just, it's that problem, with the sequel, it's got to be old, it's got to be new, you got to have all the stuff you like from the first stuff, but it can't be too similar to the first one, but it can't be too different. You're really fucking yourself up unless, there's a thin thread of perfection that a sequel can attain in something like Terminator 2, where it does actually hit all those things, or Mad Max 2, or even something like Aliens, where, it's similar, but it's different enough, and it takes it in a different, compelling, interesting direction. Also, isn't it ironic that two of the best sequels are done by the same guy? Jimmy C, James Cameron. But, it's just it's a sweet spot that people just really struggle to hit, and they just didn't quite get it. It's pretty enjoyable, but I would say, second review, Get Out. I'm talking to you, Harley, but also that's the name of the film.
That's a movie about coming out of the closet.
No, that's a movie about a interracial couple, which I know a little bit about from all the interracial porn I watch. And also my girlfriend. But basically the concept is that he goes to meet the parents. He's a black man, she's white, and it's this kind of middle of nowhere, but these are very sophisticated people who are sort of inadvertently racist. They think they're very progressive, but actually by being so progressive, you see the hints of the fact that they're actually racist, and then things get crazier and crazier, and it's kind of a thriller horror. It's been a huge hit in America. It's fucking awesome. Great film. Probably one of the best films that I've seen this year, for sure. Absolutely tippy top. I think you'd really enjoy it. And it's also one of those refreshing. Yes, it's a horror film. It's now going to be one of the highest grossing films ever in relation to budget. So I think the budget was about 1.3 million. And as of me talking about, it's grossed about 160 million. Do the fucking math on that shit, man. And the profit, but it's just but it's great to see also because it's like kind of a clever horror / thriller, a little bit different, a little bit interesting that everyone's responded to and actually gone to the theatre for. Because too often we're discussing films that are really good that no one gives a fuck about and wants to watch because they're going to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So it's great to see that you can find that audience and capture them from time to time. Like, they're still there, they're still floating out there in the ether. Just gotta hook them with the right thing. So those are my 2 reviews. So just gonna help everyone out there. Save your money with Guardians Volume 2. Forget about Baby Groot and move on to Get Out.
I'll be watching Alien Covenant.
Yes, I will be too.
Yep.
And I'll also be watching John Wick 2, which is just about to come out, which I'm very much looking... in fact, it's already out here. It just came out. We only had to wait 4 months or something from when it was released in America. But I did the right thing. I did not give in to piracy. And I'll be go seeing it at the cinema.
Now, one thing I forgot to mention about the stand-up comedy...
Oh, fuck. We're onto this again.
...was that I wanted to record the audio separately while I was wanting to film it and record the audio separately. So I went up to the techie beforehand, and I had already done some prep work and found out his name and stuff. And I was like, "Hi, mate, it's me, Harley." And I was like, "I was wondering if I could just ask a favor. Do you think you could hook this up to my Zoom recorder up to an output so that I can get the audio straight from the mic?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, that should be fine, right?" And then so we started fucking around with it, and he was like, "Oh, it doesn't seem to be working. We can't quite get that right." And then boom, the speakers something happened with the speakers. Made this big old noise. Yeah. And this is 10 minutes before the doors were opening. And then suddenly he had lost the mic feed. And he had done something. I don't know what he did.
So our Zoom recorder had exploded his setup.
Yeah. Something had happened. I don't know if he put it in the wrong place or I don't know wrong hole or whatever. I don't know. But it was a big thing, and he went into full panic mode, running around, and I was just ooh, I hope they don't blame me for this, I hope they don't associate me with this at all, because, they weren't yes, Harley, absolutely, film, go hard. They were kind of because I did contact them before, and I said, can I film it and record it and stuff, and they were like, well, yeah, all right, kind of thing, but they weren't yeah, definitely. They were yeah, well, a bit lukewarm on it.
Yeah, that's pretty invasive and profiting off us, no.
Well, filming my own set, and I'm not making any money off it.
No, but I mean, for their live comedy shiz.
Yeah, well, either way, it was a big disaster, and they had to all running around. There was all this panic and stuff going on because something wasn't working 10 minutes before the doors opened. Because
some a-hole wanted to record.
It was all my fucking fault.
Some narcissistic a-hole wanted to record his set specially.
It's not narcissistic, mate. That's the business we're in. We're in the business of creating content.
And
narcissism. So we are creating content for the internet.
Also in the business of narcissism.
If you guys want to see the video of the clip you heard before, I am posting that at some point online. So facebook.com/Guy and Harley. I'll post it there. Yeah. So I also better give a quick shout out to Blair Martin, who I saw tonight. He's a long-time listener, and apparently he's going to become a Patreon supporter.
Oh, Blair, appreciate it, buddy.
So
and thanks for he was the one that filmed with us.
He filmed
Not Wanking.
Not Wanking, our comedic gold, timeless classic, Not Wanking. Available on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and search Pigville Not Wanking, you will find it. That was shot by Blair, so well done, Blair.
Thank you for that. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah. Now, I watched something that I was going to tell you about.
Good.
13 Reasons. I watched the first episode of that.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really capture me.
13 Reasons. You only needed one excuse to give up on it.
Well, it was fine, but it was man, I didn't have time for this shit. And then Westworld. I watched the whole season of Westworld.
I ain't time for this shit.
I watched the whole season of Westworld as well. That was passable.
Fucking passable. It was a bloody masterpiece.
It was all right. It was all right.
Fucking masterpiece.
It was just a bit boring.
It's the best fucking science fiction.
It was good.
The amount of sweet, sweet nudity in that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bloody brilliant.
But
Wasn't it? There was something for everyone. There was penises in there too.
Yeah.
So don't think that we're being sexist.
No, but I had a whole other tab open just full of penises.
There was
so I don't need to see it in my
There was
drama.
There was penises. There was beautiful titties. You know, there was just there was something for everyone in that show.
Yeah.
Primarily penises or titties.
I did like it, and I will watch the second season.
Oh man, I can't wait. That's the last TV show that really grabbed me. I was like, I'm fully on board for this.
Yeah.
I am fully on board. I'm invested. I'm watching it every week when it comes out.
Right.
I can barely contain my erection.
Right.
Unlike the time 16 or 18 years ago when I couldn't.
When you couldn't
handle the jandal.
You couldn't construct an erection,
I
let
couldn't-
alone maintain one.
I couldn't handle the jandal.
Now, I got interviewed on Nerd versus Noob. Did I say that last week?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Go check that out. I will share that on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Guy and Harley. What else you got?
Well, I will say that I've had some rumblings, some subtle nods to suggest that I will be making my wrestling debut at one of the upcoming Armageddons in Tauranga or Wellington.
Ooh.
So, you know, this is a pretty big deal. I mean, look, this is a year in the making. And also, I'm fucking almost 34. Yeah, these other kids are like 18, 20, 21, 22. I'm fucking 34 years old, and I got to keep up with these fucking motherfuckers. You know, like, this is a physical fucking, well, I was going to say sport. It's not exactly a sport.
Show.
Yeah, it's a fucking physical show. You know, this is no fucking joke. So I'm actually quite proud of the fact that I've just made it this far. Because I was, you know, at the beginning, primarily doing it for research purposes. I wanted to get a grasp enough on the basics that if I were to portray a professional wrestler as an actor in my hypothetical upcoming film about pro wrestling, that it would be convincing and it would look good and I would have a better understanding of it. You know, that was my initial, you know, thing. And then, of course, you know, I started doing it and I was like, fuck, this shit is fucking fun. It's awesome. You know, and rekindled the childhood dream of becoming a pro wrestler. And now I'm actually possibly touch wood, don't get an injury, whatever. It's happening.
So
I've got the wrestling boots and everything.
Early next month, coincidentally, Guy and I are both going to Wellington on the same dates, on the same weekend. Pure coincidence. Guy's going for wrestling.
Yep.
And I'm going for a role in a film which I got through this podcast from Bernie Rao, who's a listener, who offered me a role in his feature film shooting early next month.
What's that called?
What's it called?
Yeah.
The production that I'm
yes,
in.
The production that you're acting in, the fucking production that you're
called the love seat, the sofa,
Lazy Boy,
lazy boy, love,
Lazy Boy Lover,
love my lazy boy. It's
Right.
definitely got something about love and lazy boys,
and it's
in the
about a
title.
crazy couch that eats people.
Well, I don't know if we're allowed to give away any sort of information
I'm
like
purely guessing this off the page.
What page?
The Lazy Boy Lover or
Right.
whatever it's called.
Oh, off the title.
Yeah. I'm just guessing there's
Right.
there's a seat. Look, I think it's got eyes and a face. It seems kind of
So
menacing.
you've clicked on the Facebook page.
I've clicked like on the page, and I've just
okay.
purely deduced this from
Got
the
it.
page. So I'm not. There's no spoilers here.
Okay. So there is a Facebook page then called Lazy Boy.
I think it's just called Lazy Boy. I could be wrong.
Yeah, My Lover, My Lazy Boy.
Yeah.
I think that might be the working title. I'm not sure. Anyway, look, the point is I've got a role in
It
it.
seems like he's kind of stolen the idea of the fucker bed, except it's the Lazy Boy Lover. So someone starts having a relationship with their couch, and then the couch decides it's time to start eating peeps.
Yeah.
You know?
My fucker bed will
Yeah.
never eat you. Will never eat you if you bite my
Well,
fucker
it'll
bed.
eat a certain part of
Parts
you,
of you.
but it'll just feel nice.
So anyway, I'm going down for. I've got 3 days on it.
Well, interesting. Okay, well, keep me posted on that one. Well, I guess you will, because you'll be fucking sleeping next to me. We'll be top and tailing.
We'll be top and tailing
on the couch
at our old mate's place.
On the couch in a sort of a in a sort of a sideways 69 position.
Yeah.
Because there's nowhere else for us to be.
Yeah.
So
if you guys live in Wellington and have a spare room, shotgun.
But anyway, back to the wrestling. Much more important. Is that now I've got to come up with a wrestling persona. Now I've got to come up with wrestling ideas. And, they asked me some questions. They're like, where does this guy come from? Why does he want to wrestle? What is compelling him to do this? And I was like, oh, fuck, I don't know. I just thought about the cool moves I was going to try and do. I thought about the look that I was going to have in terms of, like my wrestling gear and my current facial hair.
Guy currently has ridiculous facial hair as we speak.
And which I may now have to have for years.
It's Wolverine-esque, except for if Wolverine was, like...
Old.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look, it's Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
It's the older version of Wolverine, and that was kind of my thought process in terms of my look. It's kind of be a kind of old grizzled Wolverine, kind of... this savage, Alex Savage, this beast, this animal.
Alex Savage.
This ruthless, aggressive, intimidator. But, what's my story? What's my backstory? Where do I come from? What makes me this way? Well, I don't have all those answers, so I'm throwing it to the listeners. If you've got any ideas, I'm all ears.
But his name is Alex Savage.
Alex Savage.
That's the name he settled on.
And I look kind of like Wolverine. So just think about that, and let's not be silly. Don't come to me.
He needs solid ideas, people.
Yeah, don't come to me with suggestions like, oh, well, why don't you say that you're part of the X-Men? Oh, why don't you say that you come out of Professor X's school that you're just down the road at? No, you fucking idiots. Just give me something real here. I need something that, like, you could suggest, and it is somewhat believable. Cage fighter, Alex Savage.
Maybe after you vanquish...
Street brawler, Alex Savage.
Maybe after you vanquish people, you could say, yeah, well, now you're an X-Man.
See, that's exactly...
Because he used to be a man, but you just...
Exactly the type of cheesy bullshit I was specifically saying not. Like, let's not imagine... Because this is a problem. Like, whenever someone says wrestling, I think for the casual sort of audience that doesn't really watch wrestling, they harken back to wrestling of the 80s, which is the vibrant colors, the cartoonish characters, a guy walking down the $1 Million Man. He's got millions of dollars. He's got $1 million belt and a glittery tuxedo, and a slave called Virgil. A black slave called Virgil. It
was a different time.
It was a different time. Coco Beware is a guy. He walks out. He's got a parrot. A parrot that sits on his shoulder. You've got Hakeem, the African Dream, who's a white guy pretending to be African, and he does a silly dance, and he's morbidly obese. That was the 80s. Now we're coming up. This is contemporary. This is slightly personas and characters are more grounded in reality. So no, I don't need anyone suggesting for me to take my vitamins or eat my prayers or
talk in a voice like this. Talk in a voice like this. Macho Man Randy Savage coming at you from the top rope, 1980s style.
I don't need any of that, okay? I can't use any of that stuff. That's not going to help me. So if you've got any good suggestions, listeners, have at it in the comment sections. Let's not forget about...
What about you're a grizzled sheep farmer?
See, sheep farmer is, the original bushwhackers were originally the sheep herders.
Right.
And that was kind of their gimmick.
Right.
And they were not those weird guys that went around licking people's heads, which is, again, the 80s. Before that, they were these kind of ruthless, kind of almost... Wolf Creek-like guys that were kind of like these savage fucking farmers out of this, obviously New Zealand back in the day. It was in the middle of nowhere. We don't know anything about it. These fuckers, But again, we're looking for realism here. So for Harley to suggest that I be like Bushwhacker Luke is not very helpful.
Well, I'm sorry, man. I'm just putting ideas out there.
All right. Well, I appreciate that.
Oh, jeez.
But so if you've got any ideas, I'm all ears. And also, if you've got some podcast favorite moments, memories, share them with us, and we'll be sure to delve into them in an upcoming episode. Anything else before we get the fizzuck out of Hes Here?
Nah, we better wrap this up because I've got work in the morning. So it has been a pleasure to have you for the 100th episode of the podcast. Sorry we did absolutely nothing.
We apologise for doing zero work, zero prep, zero planning.
Guys. We're just busy.
Zero fucking anything. We apologise for our complete disrespect for our listeners.
No. We've just been super busy, guys. There's a lot going on, okay? So look, thank you very much for listening. If you want to join us on Patreon, Blair, we do suggest that you go along to Patreon and search Pigville. And if anybody else would like to become a patron as well, we do really appreciate it. We're currently getting $54 a month from Patreon, which is pretty awesome. That's almost enough to cover our insurance. So go along to patreon.com, give us $1. The way I look at it is this. You could buy one beer at the pub for $10, or you could be a Patreon supporter for 10 months. You know, if you give us $1 a month, it's fuck all. So, you know, don't be shy, guys. If you want to keep up with just generally everything else that's happening, go to facebook.com/Guy and Harley, and I post all the bits and pieces there. And if you want to see our videos, because we are first and foremost filmmakers before we're podcasters, you should go along to YouTube and search for Pigville Productions. You'll find us there, and we've got a channel, and you can just have a look. And I mean, we've got stuff from 10 years ago up there, so that's just for the hardcores, but we've also got some more recent stuff. And I do put this podcast up there as well, which reminds me, if it makes no difference to you and you're just putting it on and doing the housework or whatever, you should listen on YouTube, because we get paid for that, and we get paid, so we like getting paid. So so thank you very much for listening, and we will see you very soon.
See you next time.
You've been listening to the Guy and Harley Podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.